Welcome to the weekly weather briefing for Monday, August 22nd, 2016. Weather forecast changed, so please check our web page for updates. An overview, it won't be as hot nor dry or as windy as it was this past Sunday. There are some subtle changes, particularly coming up this Wednesday with a northeast wind, and there's some uncertainty for the upcoming weekend. It won't be as hot. Sunday, they were widespread 90s. Today, we struggled to meet mid-70s for many locations with maybe 1 or 2 80s. So that was about 15 degrees cooler, and that shows here in the Spokane International forecast. And then just going around through it, you see the breezing conditions and smoke for today and Tuesday, resulting from the increased fire activity that occurred yesterday, Sunday. Temperatures warming a bit, but nothing really outstanding there. Peaking on Saturday, and we got another front maybe coming through, and you see breezy wording there again. There's a little bit of uncertainty there, but we'll revisit that part of the forecast a little later in the briefing. These are fire weather graphics for Spokane and Colville, and they show the temperatures increasing, particularly the Spokane one, where you see the average temperature there at 80. So you see we're starting out below average. Again, to compare this to Sunday, which was quite an extreme outlying event where we were extremely hot and extremely dry and extremely windy. So today, we're about 15 degrees cooler. We're a little bit increased in humidity, but it's still in the upper teens, and the winds are still slightly breezy today. But that should be on the decreasing trend going into tomorrow. And in the Wednesday, some exceptions when we get into the wind forecast might be the Okanagan Valley, because they get a little bit better northerly winds. And then we'll look a little bit at Wednesday again with the northeast winds, and then on Saturday with the more robust winds. There's very little chance of precipitation in the forecast for most of the 7 days, except for maybe near the British Columbia border for the next 2 days. So we'll just kind of focus on the fire danger for the most part for this briefing. The winds Monday evening, which is today, you see the breezy activities there, quite a bit of 15 to 20 miles per hour. Again, the benefit here is the temperatures are about 15 degrees cooler than Sunday, so fires are not as excited by this type of weather. The graphic on the lower right shows how conditions approach excited fire weather conditions or increased activity. And you see some pockets maybe north of the northern Spokane County and southern Stevens and Pend Oreille, and little bits and pieces here and there, but nowhere near as widespread as it was yesterday. So we're done with Monday. Going to Wednesday, the ridge of high pressure moves east, and we get a little bit more northerly flow. So this is going to push any type of fire in a different direction than what we've experienced for the past 2 or 3 days, which is primarily pushing from the west and southwest. So this would push it in the opposite direction. But the temperatures are still nowhere near as warm. There's mostly just widespread 70s with maybe a little bit more 80s. And you see that in that lower graphic again, where the increased fire behavior activity isn't really all that excited. You see very few pockets there in the Okanagan Valley, but nothing too critical. We'll jump ahead to Saturday evening. And this is where there's more uncertainty in the forecast. Some of the models don't bring this disturbance down. They minor it out near the southern BC border. But for now, we're going to kind of bring parts of it through in the forecast. So we have increased winds for Saturday evening. Warmer temperatures, there's some 80s in there. But again, to put it all in perspective, this is nowhere near as intense and extreme as the events that occurred yesterday, Sunday, August 21st. But when you look at this, the fire danger enhancements there in the lower right, you see a little bit more tendency towards fire activity that we want to closely monitor. So Saturday is a day that bears watching in the forecast because of the warmer temperatures and the increased southwest winds. And to reiterate, Wednesday was because it was more or less because it was a different direction. And as far as precipitation chances, they're still pretty low. The 8 to 14 day outlook shows above normal temperatures and below normal chance of precipitation, which is not that unusual given we're in August and early September. The review, not as hot or as dry or as windy. And the subtle changes are Wednesday, with the winds blowing almost 180 degrees out of phase than they are today from the northeast. So it would push fire in the other direction towards the south and to the west. And then there's uncertainty for the weekend, but the weekend does warm up. There's some more 80s in the forecast, a little bit drier, and there's more robust southwest winds. But I have to reiterate, to put it in perspective, nowhere near approaching the extreme fire behavior situation that we had here for this past Sunday.